Hello, kia ora, I'm Philip Duncan. Thank you so much for joining us for our Thursday weather update for October the 27th. We've got a lot of spring wind on the way for both New Zealand and Australia, along with rain. And the temperatures, they're certainly going all over the place at the moment, where one week it's warm, the next week it's cooler. So what's going on at the moment is a warmer airflow is moving into the New Zealand area, while a couple of stormy systems, this is the first one, there's another one coming next week, and that's going to encourage more sort of wintry changes coming in for some parts of Australia, and yes, with more wind and rain. So at the moment, northerly winds are drifting down towards New Zealand, or maybe a bit of an easterly for some of you. And on the other side of the Tasman, we've got more of a southwest flow coming through, or a westerly. So let's have a look at the thunderstorms at the moment, mostly out in the Tasman Sea between that northerly wind that was coming down and the low pressure system that's nearby. So mostly offshore, a couple up here in Queensland, and pretty quiet in the New Zealand area, although there's that rain band starting to move in. Temperatures, okay, just at a glance, don't get too lost in all the detail here, but really what you're looking at is maximum temperatures on Thursday and Friday. So you can see down here, it might be very hard for you to actually see the numbers, so focus more on just the shading of the colours. But over here it says 11 degrees, that's the daytime highs for today, Thursday. Tomorrow, Friday, 21s and 20s. So that's the reason why you're seeing a lot more of that red shading expanding out across New Zealand, while Australia, the blue, that's the area that's expanding out. So a cooler change across much of Australia, while New Zealand is warming up. All right, rainfall. That's the next part of it all. There's a lot to talk about. Heaviest rain in the blue down here. That's where you're getting up to 150 to 200 millimetres. So that's quite a lot of rain. Further north in the more populated areas, anywhere from 70 to 100 millimetres there for you. And around Mount Taranaki, only about 30, and basically nothing falling over in Hawke's Bay, which I think you'll be pretty happy about. And in Australia, rain through Alice Springs and through the central areas, which is not your normal forecast. And the heaviest falls down around Melbourne and the isolated southwestern corner of Hobart, of Tasmania, sorry. You're really only seeing about 40 millimetres or so coming in around Melbourne, which is still a fair bit after the rain you've had, but it's not a huge amount. So hopefully it can drain away as best as any of that water can drain away in Victoria at the moment. It certainly is saturated. So here is the forecast. We kick off with Friday, and this big low, which is right near Hobart, driving in some rain for you, and a southerly change coming in for Tasmania and Victoria later on. But on the other side of that low pressure system, it's mild. We've got subtropical winds coming down for the North Island and the Upper South Island. And then you've got airflows from the Tasman Sea coming in for the rest of the South Island. Either way, nor'westers, so the temperatures are going up. And as I say, daytime highs getting into the 20s on Friday in areas that today may not even make it to the teens. So that's quite a bit of a change. As we go into the weekend, that low just stretches out bigger and bigger. So that doesn't make it stormier. In fact, it does the opposite. It means the winds, they fan out further, but the peaks of those winds, they drop down. So more people have windy weather, but fewer people have damaging winds. So we are seeing blustery nor'westers on Saturday. So it's going to be a warm day on the eastern side of the country on Saturday. Plenty of wet weather as well. Maybe not huge totals though in those northern areas, and it's mild. That's the main feature, but there could be some wind warnings, especially around Cook Strait and some of the mountains and ranges, and a cooler or colder southwest change coming in for the southeastern corner of Australia, otherwise fairly settled, although a bit of rain also in Perth. By Sunday, well, wind is the main feature on the map on Sunday. So in the New Zealand area, we've got these mild north to northwesterly winds for much of the North Island, and then the normal spring windy westerlies for the South Island. But over in Australia, look at this big southerly change coming through. Temperature drop in Western Australia will be quite significant, and you've got a storm system here moving through South Australia directly into Adelaide. So quite a lot going on. So next week, this is the main feature on Monday, this low pressure zone near Tasmania. Quite a deep system, and all the isobars mean we've got gale force winds blowing through Bass Strait, severe gale potentially in some areas, and then that blue line indicates that colder change coming through. So big temperature drops for you at the start of next week. But over in New Zealand, it's very different. While we're very close to this big system, this narrow area of high pressure is just sort of like a buffer zone, keeping it away. So not very windy on Monday in New Zealand, and that mild subtropical airflow with the rain slowly moving along The rain is being blocked by the same system that's creating it, so very slow moving. It's what they call sometimes an atmospheric river when it stays in one spot and it's quite narrow. So that's worth keeping an eye on. For now, no big alarm bells, but it could easily lead to a rain warning. So we'll keep an eye on that one for you over the next few days ahead. But that's Monday, and then we get into Tuesday, and finding that low is actually dropping down into the Southern Ocean, and it takes with it a lot of the severe weather. But you can see here, severe gales are likely in the lower South Island from the northwest on Tuesday. Still got rain lingering in Bay of Plenty on Tuesday, so that's a few days of rain. Go to ruralweather.co.nz to work out your rainfall totals in Bay of Plenty at the moment. And then over in Australia on Tuesday, the wintry southerly coming through for Adelaide and later on into Melbourne as well. So typical spring weather, but I mean, this is just a very messy weather map, and it's due to this storm down here in the Southern Ocean. Thankfully, moving away from populated places, not directly into them. That is all from me for today. We'll see you again tomorrow, Friday, with our next update for the week ahead.